Hello and welcome to today's call hosted by the Outdoor Recreation Roundtable to celebrate the reintroduction of America's Outdoor Recreation Act in the U.S. Congress. Before I begin, we'd like to note that we've enabled closed captions for this call, which you can utilize by going to the bottom of your Zoom screen and pressing Captions, then Show Captions. My name is Chris Perkins, and I'm a Senior Director at the Outdoor Recreation Roundtable. When you look at these logos here, you can see that we represent the full diversity of outdoor recreation activities, from hiking, biking, skiing, climbing, to hunting and fishing, boating, motorized activities, camping, hospitality, horseback riding, scuba diving, you name it. And by having all these recreation interests represented together, it allows us to speak with a unified voice on behalf of the outdoor recreation industry at the federal and state levels. And this is a really exciting day for us as we celebrate the reintroduction of America's Outdoor Recreation Act in the Senate. And first, we have to start by recognizing the bipartisan leadership of the Senate Committee on Energy and Natural Resources, specifically Senators Joe Manchin, John Barrasso, and their staffs. They've worked tirelessly to bring this package together over many years, deserve great credit for their work. And not only is it refreshing to see such great bipartisan collaboration, but it is also refreshing to see the senators recognize that the time is now for outdoor recreation. Everyone on this call likely already understands the important role of outdoor recreation in improving public health and community connectedness. And this has really never been so evident as the pandemic has reminded us just how important time is outside, or time outside is, for our well-being. Millions more than ever before have flocked to our nation's public lands and waters over the past few years, as Americans have craved safe and restorative, family-friendly outdoor opportunities, both close to home and far away. So with this new influx of participation, the package could not be more well-timed, as many of the policies that support outdoor recreation were written decades before today's level of interest. And of course, outdoor recreation is not just good for our health and communities, it's good for our economy. Every year, the US Bureau of Economic Analysis measures the size of the outdoor recreation economy. The latest data we have is from 2021, and the numbers are staggering. This is an $862 billion industry, which accounts for nearly 2% of US GDP, 4.5 million jobs. And from 2020 to 2021, this industry grew 18.9% compared to a 5.7% growth of the US economy over the same period. That's over 3 times greater in growth. And just to illustrate this further, some segment by segment statistics illustrating the growth in recreation participation and activity from 2019 to 2021. So this brings us to the recreation package we are discussing today, the America's Outdoor Recreation Act. This package, the first specific to outdoor recreation, combines a wide variety of provisions that will enable long overdue permit streamlining, will increase access to recreation on public lands and waters, will update outdoor recreation infrastructure, improve long-range trails, invest in rural economic development, ensure access to green space in underserved communities, and many more important benefits to American society. And not only will this bill increase access to outdoor recreation and support local and national economies, but it will also not cost taxpayers a dime to implement. But don't just take it from me. We've invited several speakers from leading organizations across the outdoor recreation economy to discuss the wide-ranging positive impacts of this bill from the perspective of their organizations. And first to speak today is my colleague, Callie Hoyt, Senior Director of Federal Government Relations, the National Marine Manufacturers Association. Callie, I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Chris. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Callie Hoyt. I am the Senior Director of Federal Government Relations with the National Marine Manufacturers Association, the nation's leading trade group representing the recreational boat, marine engine, and accessory manufacturers. Collectively, NMMA's 1,300 members manufacture an estimated 80% of marine products in North America. NMMA represents the $170 billion recreational boating and fishing industry on public policy issues, including infrastructure, recreation access, trade, workforce challenges, supply chain disruptions, as well as decarbonization strategies and solutions for the recreational marine industry. Last Congress, NMMA advocated on behalf of America's Outdoor Recreation Act, a comprehensive, bipartisan-backed outdoor recreation package that addresses the growing demand for access to our nation's public lands and waters, improves conservation efforts, and grows the outdoor recreation economy as a whole. Recreational boating and fishing is the #1 contributor to the outdoor recreation economy and stands to benefit along with a multitude of recreational pursuits from the passage of this legislation. The reintroduction of AORA by Senators Manchin and Barrasso this Congress is advancing transformative legislation that will make it easier for Americans to get out on the water by first improving visitation data on public lands and waters, which will better help to inform policymakers and land managers in making financial and management decisions, as well as helping recreationists in making real-time decisions about when and where they want to go outdoors. It will also help to improve access and resources for anglers and boaters by providing federal agencies with the ability to decontaminate vessels to stop the spread of aquatic invasive species. And it will also help towards supporting rural communities and growing their recreation economies and welcoming new generations of boaters to the waters who will protect our shared natural resources and conservation goals. At no cost to taxpayers, America's Outdoor Recreation Act is a bipartisan solution that grows and supports the $862 billion outdoor recreation economy at a time when more Americans than ever are spending time outdoors. On behalf of the recreational boating and fishing industry, we applaud the Senate's reintroduction of AORA and are encouraged by the work underway in the House of Representatives to prioritize this recreation package so early in the new Congress. We're calling for swift action from both chambers of Congress to help get this over the finish line and towards improving upon the outdoor recreation experience from coast to coast. Thank you for having me today, and I will go ahead and pass it over to my colleague, Maribel, who is the manager with the Confluence of States.
Thank you, Callie. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maribel Castañeda, and I have the joy of working as manager for the Confluence of States. We are a bipartisan coalition of 16 state offices of outdoor recreation, developing a national platform to grow the outdoor recreation industry, protect our nation's wild places, and transform conservation into a driver for economic prosperity. We work alongside outdoor industry leaders guided by 4 pillars: conservation and stewardship, education and workforce training, economic development, and public health and wellness. Together, we uplift the outdoor community by sharing best practices and work together as a unified voice. Offices of outdoor recreation are created for many reasons. They leverage the state's economic power in outdoor recreation. They coordinate efforts across agencies or departments. They champion the state's natural beauty. They elevate the outdoors for all, and many more reasons unique to each state. Our members represent every region across the country. Utah was the first state to create an office in 2013, with many other states following soon after. The states who have most recently created offices and joined our coalition include Arkansas, New Hampshire, and Maryland. We have seen our offices meet the needs of the unprecedented interest in outdoor recreation through the work of our 4 pillars, inspiring more offices to be developed. States want to cultivate economic development opportunities, improve health benefits, connect people to the outdoors, and invest in their residents. We are so excited for the reintroduction of America's Outdoor Recreation Act. Our offices are meeting the needs of our constituents, and this act will make an incredible impact on our work. It will first support gateway communities, those communities adjacent to recreation destinations such as national parks or nature resort areas. These communities are an important part of the outdoor experience and supporters of local tourism. This act will identify needs and economic impacts in gateway communities and support economic opportunities through tourism. We have seen the value of gateway communities for our recreation destinations and are thrilled to see them uplifted in this package. This act will also identify opportunities for recreation, requiring land management agencies to assess current recreation resources, identify any trends relating to use, and consider future recreation needs. In many of our states, we are working to encourage recreation across our lands and outdoor activities in our natural places. We often find parks or areas that are overcrowded, so identifying underutilized locations and encouraging recreation use would also support our efforts. Lastly, we are really excited to see a section that will establish a single visitation data system to collect, model, and report accurate data of different recreation activities. Our offices rely heavily on data and visitation numbers to inform their work and policy decisions. This will be a game changer to improve our statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation plans, strategic plans, and economic impact studies. It will provide us with a more complete picture of how many visitors are enjoying our federal lands. We believe the outdoors belong to everyone. With bipartisan collaboration, the confluence of states give the outdoor recreation industry a voice in the economy that we all thrive on, one state at a time. America's Outdoor Recreation Act is a bipartisan package of legislation that will impact every state and neighborhood, inspiring us to do what we love doing outside. Thank you so much. I will pass things over to my colleague, Scott Schloegel.
Thanks, Maribel. I really appreciate that introduction. And let me just start by thanking ORR for pulling this together. You know, the ORR team, Jess, Chris, and Ben have done a really great job of elevating outdoor recreation on a national level and becoming the go-to organization. And we're proud to be one of the founding members of ORR. So thanks for all the work that you guys are doing at the association. I'm Scott Schloegel. I'm the Senior Vice President of Government Relations for the Motorcycle Industry Council, the Specialty Vehicle Institute of America, and the Recreational Off-Highway Vehicle Association. So when you think of MIC, SVIA, and ROVA, think of 2-, 3-, and 4-wheel fun stuff that we participate in recreation on, including motorcycles, ATVs, and side-by-sides. We're a $50 billion a year industry in the United States, and I think we're the 4th largest contributor according to the BEA in terms of outdoor recreation. AOR has something for everything. I mean, this is really a good bill. It's really important to me. I'm a guy who, when I was just a couple of years old, my father was stricken with polio, lost the use of his legs, and couldn't go out and do hiking and running and you know, baseball and things like that. But what we could do is we could get on a snowmobile, or we could get on an ATV or a side-by-side. They didn't exist back then, but an ATV, and ride around and still participate in the great outdoors. He was an avid hunter and fisherman and loved to be outdoors and loved to access our fantastic properties that we've got across the country, our public lands. And AOR truly has something for everyone. It has something for every socioeconomic background, every physical ability, and every mode of recreation, right? There's something in this bill for everyone. So when it comes to power sports, there's several sections of the bill that will benefit our customers. Section 132, the extension of seasonal recreational opportunities, and Section 141, the identifying new opportunities for recreation, both key for our users. Section 133 about the gateway communities and taking a look at the impact of those, really important for our industry, contributes significantly to those gateway communities through our food and lodging, gasoline, supplies, and gear that we purchase. So having a good view of what that impact is will be key for moving forward and funding other recreational opportunities in the future. Parking in Section 134, really important for us, opportunities for federal lands and waters and growing parking there, both for our vehicles, but also for trailer parking. A lot of time, if you're using ATVs and side-by-sides, which should only be used off-road, you're trailering those to a BLM property or Forest Service property. And you'll also see a lot of RVs that have our products strapped to the back of them, whether they're towing a side-by-side or they've got dirt bikes that are attached to the back of those RVs. So parking is really critical. Section 135, updating the travel management plans. This is probably one of the biggest ones for the motorized community. The BLM and Forest Service are required to increase opportunities for motorized and non-motorized access and experiences on federal land. And they're also required in this to develop GIS compliant maps and paper maps as well for motorized trails in the forests and update them. And by the way, as we're getting those kind of GIS maps, Section 131, the broadband internet connectivity and recreation sites section, also critical, right? So when you're at those locations, you can download the information you need to into your motorcycle's GPS or use it on your mobile device. So, and that's all the even more important because our riders want to be able to experience BLM and Forest Service properties responsibly. And having those GIS compliant maps will help to ensure that we stay on the roads and trails that are authorized for our kind of riding, and we can do that responsibly. So again, I want to just thank ORR. I want to thank Senators Manchin and Barrasso for introducing this bill. We've got our Capitol Hill fly-in coming up here shortly in a couple of weeks. This is one of the bills that's going to be a priority for us as we're up there on the Hill lobbying on April 26th. So really appreciate the opportunity to be on here and say a few words about it today. And I will pass it over to Stephen Foy.
Thank you, Scott. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Stephen Foy. I'm on the board of directors at America Outdoor Association. America Outdoors is the national trade association for guide and outfitter businesses, primarily those that hold a federal permit with BLM, Park Service, or U.S. Forest Service, and then several that hold a state or a local permit as well. I also am the director of operations at the Nantahala Outdoor Center. We're an outfitting service in the Southeast. We operate on 7 rivers in 4 states. We put over 100,000 people on the river every year, in addition to kayak and canoe instruction, zip line, mountain bike, and several other activities. We're really thankful for all the support that we've gotten for the SOAR Act, and the SOAR Act provisions have now been included in AORA. The SOAR Act provisions in AORA are really important for us. I'll just go over 3 of those that are kind of the top line. The first one is that it reauthorizes outfitter and guide permitting authority for those federal agencies, the Forest Service, BLM, Fish and Wildlife, and Forest Service under the FLREA, the Federal Land Recreation Enhancement Act, which keeps our permits active, which is a huge active for us. It authorizes agencies to develop categorical exclusions for permitting, which is really good in certain circumstances, especially in our permit renewals. Another big one for us is that it sets the standard as a permit fee at 3%. While maintaining agency flexibility, we know that not all permit fees will be set at 3%, but it sets that as a standard. It does a lot for us in the way that our permits are renewed, in the way that allocated use can be protected and redistributed amongst either commercial users or private users. And it allows us some permit flexibility in the way that we can advance our product offerings to the public. So in short, one of the great things about this for outfitters is that this bill primarily benefits small businesses, businesses which help to drive tourism and primarily to rural economies. So thanks again for your support. I look forward to answering any questions. I'll pass it back to Chris.
Thank you, Stephen, and thank you so much to all our speakers today for joining us and speaking on behalf of your organizations. And like Scott said, there really is something for everyone in this bill, which is why we're so excited. You know, to wrap up, this could not be a better time to introduce America's Outdoor Recreation Act. As we covered today, the outdoor recreation industry contributes $862 billion to the national economy. It makes up nearly 2% of national GDP, provides 4.5 million jobs. It's a huge economic driver for both rural and urban communities in every corner of the country. We also know there's unprecedented interest in outdoor recreation on public lands and waters that really demands modern solutions. Yet much of the policy supporting outdoor recreation was written for an earlier time when Americans utilized the outdoors in different ways. This bill is the culmination of efforts from ORR members, partners, stakeholders, Hill staff over many years. And like the Great American Outdoors Act, is part of a larger effort by Congress and current and past administrations, as well as the industry, to recognize that vital role of the $862 billion outdoor recreation economy. Last year, AORA had strong bipartisan and bicameral support. It passed unanimously out of the Senate and Energy and Natural Resources Committee. And we look forward to working with both the Senate and House to ensure its timely passage. Thanks so much for being here on the call today and for your interest in this exciting piece of legislation for the outdoor recreation economy. For those members of the media who are on the call, we'll move over to a media-only call, and the number is shown on screen. For the rest of you, have a great day, and we hope you spend time outdoors. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll wrap up the call.